And welcome to another edition of Inside the Program, brought to you by InsideTexas.com. I'm your host, Justin Wells, and with me, as always, on Fridays is Eric Nalene, the managing partner at InsideTexas.com. Hey, please like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. We are so close to 6,000 subs. Be that 6,000th. Be that guy. We need you. We love what we're building here. This thing is growing faster than we could have imagined. Please like and subscribe. Eric, at this point in the year, there's not a whole lot of information, but if you go to InsideTexas.com, that's not the case. There was a massive team humidor posted this morning from yourself and me, and it looked, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of the program early, and I get it. They've only been back at it for almost 2 weeks. But there's some notable things to talk about. First things first, though, we're going to talk about Billy Glasscock, the player personnel man headed to Ole Miss. We're going to talk about early standouts that we're hearing about within the program. Generally, those new freshmen and those portal guys that came in January. And then the future of the offensive line, because I think we can all see that this next year is going to be like their big year. The year that all those talented guys, the cohesive unit kind of does their thing. And there needs to be a succession going into 2025 when Arch takes the reins. And so I think that's a very important subject. We're going to start it off with Billy Glasscock. Just tell the fans, Eric, how big is this move? And what is Lane Kiffin doing poaching from his good buddy Sark?
Man, that caught me by surprise. I knew that people were coming after Glasscock and people have been coming after Brandon Harris. Texas Success Recruiting is going to motivate schools to come after their guys. That's what happens when you're successful. Look what happens to all these quality NFL teams. The coordinators get poached. It's the first thing that's what happens. So, it's to be expected with the success. Now, I was surprised about Glasscock to a degree. I had heard that he was pretty happy at Texas, but I did hear that people were making a run at him. I was surprised that it was Ole Miss. Like you said, Kiffin and Sark have a kinship going back 20 years. So maybe Texas should have gone after their D-line coach after all. We said that they wouldn't go after Randall Joyner just because of that relationship. Maybe Sark will rethink that in the future. But Glasscock did good work for the program. He was good at identifying talent. I think he was part and parcel with Sark as the GM of the program with the overall vision for roster building. So he played an integral part. But there's a lot of guys out there that can do that, and there's probably a lot of guys within the building that can do that have been waiting their turn. Now I think we have to, wait and see what Brandon Harris does. He's being a little cryptic. I think he changed up his social media stuff. Now I heard I don't know what he's doing there, but I heard in the middle of January they locked him up. I think Alabama was coming after him, probably some others as well, just like Glasscock. So, we'll see. It's an important part of the whole process, but there's a lot of people that can do that job.
It's just like a recruiting coordinator to build up drama on Twitter. It's like we haven't seen it before. You
think he's waiting on an edit? You think he's waiting on an edit?
I promise you he's waiting on an edit.
Remember commitment videos? We'd have to wait a week and a half. A kid would commit, and then a week and a half would transpire, and then they'd either commit or not. By that time, everybody found out the video was coming out, and they got him off the commit.
And then they would film a video and they wouldn't commit to the school. They changed their mind and do it again. Oh, the good old
alternate endings. Oh my, that was the 2020 class. That was oh my God, it's terrible.
I'm kind of glad they've gotten away from that. I got to be totally honest with you, because you and I had discussions in the late 2010s about, do we need to hire a videographer?
Yeah.
Do we need to get in this type of business?
God, it was lame.
Yeah, no question. But I'm with you. I think Glasscock did a really good job. I think he was stable in that room of talented guys. And like you said, I think that this could be an in-house promotion. So we're gonna find out either edit wise or Twitter wise or through our sources wise. We're gonna get that. So be sure and check it out at InsideTexas.com right now. Let's pay the bills and let's give lots of love to our man Andre the lawyer. Listen, you don't want to have to call this guy, but if you do, if you're injured, if you're in a car wreck, if you've got a slip and fall, an 18-wheeler accident, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths, Andre the lawyer is the guy you need to call. This is a lifetime Longhorn, but he helps all people from all places. A really big helper at Inside Texas. We always loved his business and his insight. Andre is a really good guy, and whenever you find yourself in a position where you need a lawyer, Andre's the guy you need to call. 214-444-8808. That's Andre the lawyer at 214-444-8808. If you get stuck, Call Andre the lawyer. He's going to help you out. And he just does it. He just does it big, guys. All right. Early standouts. And granted, it's only been a couple weeks, but you can glean things from the early guys. Who arrives early, who puts in the extra rep, who stays a little bit later. Those are data points to me of who's going to be successful in 2024 and beyond in a Texas in the program. And so earlier today, like I said, you posted a really good team humidor. What were some of the notes without giving away all the goodies? What were some of the early notes of early standouts?
Well, we posted it. It wasn't me. That was us. That was the team, as always, on that. Let's start with a name that you added, just to highlight the point how much you help on that. Tia Savea. I thought that was a big one that you added, just because, hey, that guy's going to play a whole lot this year.
Yeah, Savea, you hear that he comes in with a very business-like attitude, and even in weights, he has an intensity about him. It's funny because that's a Johnny Nansen special. Came from UCLA, came from Arizona. Nansen knows exactly who this guy is. He's already made an impression, according to sources within the program, on some of those defensive players. He's in a certain pod that they lift weights with, but it's not just the weightlifting; it's also the running. This is a guy that goes 100%, and I think. Sometimes with these early portal guys, I think they want to make a good impression, obviously on the coaches, but also they want to earn respect of the players in that locker room and the teammate. The quicker you earn that trust from those guys, I think the quicker this thing builds and becomes even more of a culture phenomenon, especially with Sark and guys. And Savea is a guy, he's strong. They said he's got some old man strength. He's very professional. He comes to the job with kind of an intensity and a focus. It's almost as like he knows this could be a big year for him if he wanted to go to the NFL draft next year. Almost, we talk about the de facto contract year. Savea's got something to prove. He wants to make sure the Texas coaches and the Texas players understand he's there for business.
Well, Nansen obviously had the inside track on the eval there. So, I was wondering if they brought him in just because the need was so big. Obviously they need defensive tackles after losing two there to go into the first round. Right. And so, his strength is what stands out to me, because they're going to have to play the run. Another ones that we added was the young defensive backs. We talked about Xavier Filsaime, the 5-star or borderline 5-star, depending on what network you see. And then Wardell Mack. Wardell Mack has that business-like attitude. He's hungry, got a good football character. He's hitting the ground running. Filsaime is still a bit raw, but we're hearing that he's eager and very fast out there on the field. You want those early traits that you can see on tape to be realized when they get to the program, because that's going to tell you that, all right, they've got that covered. That we nailed that easy part of the eval, but what else is out there? And that ties into Ryan Wingo. We've both heard glowing things on Wingo. We know he's big, fast, and strong. That was guaranteed to translate to college. There's little doubt about that. But one thing that's adding some upside to him relatively early in his career is his route running. We both heard that he's out there. He's got the agility, the quickness, the ability to sink his hips, get in and out of breaks. And for a bigger guy, he's looking like a little guy when it comes to running routes.
Yeah, and the big thing in college are miles per hour. And right now, Ryan Wingo is surprisingly up on that chart. I believe Isaiah Bond might be near the top, but I was surprised to hear Wingo like right underneath him. And I shouldn't be surprised, rather, but, I just don't expect a true freshman to come in there and have that type of speed. And Wingo's shown that. Isaiah Bond's shown that. And that's the fun part of the early standouts. There are going to be guys that really make an impression on a lot of these guys. And so, and that's what they want to do. They want to come in and let guys understand that this is what they want to see. So let's shift to the future of the offensive line. There's a lot here. And I want to say this year is the culmination of Kyle Flood's vision when he arrived in Austin. You're seeing all the development of that class of 2022 that was here. Remember the protecting arch guys, even though they were about a year ahead. And you had guys like, Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks and DJ Campbell. These are all guys that are looking to take that next step. Obviously, Banks is there, and then we heard the name Kyle Flood just floated out for the new Boston College head coaching job after Jeff Hafley took the defensive coordinator position in Green Bay, headed to the NFL. That was quickly refuted. And give us a little bit of detail on what we had written this morning about Flood and kind of why he is exactly where he wants to be and how he's now looking at sort of not just 2024, but they're already kind of building towards the succession to 2025.
We get asked every offseason which coaches would look to go elsewhere. And so we refuted this one long before it even came up, and there was a direct need to refute it, or at least, there's a rumor floating out there. Now, that guy that floated that rumor was floating out some pretty wild names. So, I kind of took it with a grain of salt, but we, did some homework on it. And, Flood's not going anywhere, just as we suspected and how we'd written a lot many times. He's already been a head coach. He crossed that line off the bucket list. He's well compensated. He's put down roots in Austin. He's got kids in school in Austin. He's happy with where he's at. Plus, he's got the sweat equity put into the program that he hasn't even seen fully realized yet. And I think this is the year we start to see the rebuild fully take shape. There's been some growing pains along the way, but it's been a steady climb. This season, even though there's still some uncertainty about how the starting five are going to shake out, he knows he's got enough pieces to work with to put together a highly functioning line.
Well, if you'll remember, even I think we wrote last year, Flood really, their mission was to find 6 or 7 guys they can depend on.
Seven or eight, yeah.
7 or 8 that they could depend on, that they know that they're not going to, lose a step once they bring in a guy or rotate a guy. Now we're hearing that number might be 10. Like that's the depth that he's built there. And he wants to be able to go too deep, literally. He wants to have that too deep be something he can rely on. And you have guys like Hayden Connor, who might be playing some right tackle this year until Cam Williams takes that spot. They're going to make Cam earn it. You've got guys like Cole Hudson, who can play a number of interior positions from left guard, center to right guard. And I thought it was interesting hearing about DJ Campbell. He's kind of taking on this motivated role that he'd like to be in the 2025 NFL draft, Eric. This is a guy, and that shouldn't necessarily surprise people, but DJ Campbell is making it a mission to get reconditioned, to get in better shape. Yeah. And there was one guy who really looked good in the Senior Bowl that's really made an impression on these guys, and that was Christian Jones. This is a guy that last year rededicated himself, similar to Quinn Ewers and a handful of other players, to eat better, to get in better shape, to take care of your body, to manage your time better. Christian Jones did that. Now he's making more money this last week in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, Jones always did the right thing, but he came back with even more purpose. He could have gone to the NFL and been a 6th, 7th round draft pick, probably, maybe a prioritized undrafted free agent. He didn't like his draft grade. And he said if he's coming back, he's going to go even harder than he's gone before. And I think that really rubbed off in that room. That room's actually pretty fortunate to have the leadership it has. Jones, Kelvin Banks, and of course Jake Majors is probably the de facto number 1 leader, which is you kind of expect that out of your center. But I'm very curious to see how it all shakes out. I think Cole Hudson having a full spring is going to be really big for him. I think he's the favorite at left guard. He'll be pushed by Neto, of course, and then there's always the slight chance they look to build depth at center. We saw what happened when Jake Majors got hurt versus OU. Right. So they do, it's Connor Williams, not Connor Williams.
Robertson.
Yeah, Connor Robertson ready to go, full go if something happens to Majors. So they do need to make sure that, the backup to center is good to go in the case of, Majors getting hurt. But then right tackle is going to be the one everybody watches because everybody's going to look at Hayden Connor and see his struggles at time at right guard and think that he's going to struggle even more at left tackle when his struggles at right guard were because he couldn't anchor as well as he should have. And he was good in pass pro. So that actually makes for a better right tackle than it does a guard. Cam Williams, can he get quick enough to go against the quicker guys in the program? And Colin Simmons is going to test that out frequently in spring practice. So, they can't just hand it over to Cam Williams. That's not how it works. If you just give it to him, he'll never maximize. So he's going to have to take it, and I think he's going to have to take it from Hayden Connor.
There are 2 names I'm going to give you on the offensive line, younger guys that we had heard through sources that look good. And we had known one already, and we kind of had an idea of the other. But I want you to dive in a little bit more on Trevor Gooseby and Brandon Baker and kind of what we're hearing on both those guys, because I have a feeling those might be your anchor tackles in the next few years.
Yeah, well, you and I are hearing the same things on both of them. Gooseby goes back to that mindset, the worker mindset that we talk about is so important to understanding when they first come into the program. He had it upon arrival. Even though he arrived late, he was the only non-early enrollee for that class.
Right.
But he was working the whole time, the whole offseason. You know, he had that hunger, knowing that he was missing out on being in Austin. He works incredibly hard. And he's got the mindset that people know he's going to be a good player. It's not a question of whether or not he will be a good player. It's just a matter of when he's going to be a good player. He's got to get bigger and stronger still, which leads to Brandon Baker. Brandon Baker's kind of a similar player, maybe even a better athlete as far as it translates to offensive line than Gooseby. But he's got to get stronger too. But both of those guys are very hungry and very driven. And you don't have to worry about them becoming good players. It's just a matter of how fast they can do it. And the work ethic is going to put them on a quicker path than most players.
Yeah, Baker, the thing I hear about Baker is, you know, he's a better athlete than people were expecting. He obviously has to.
Well, I don't know what the hell they were expecting, because he looked ridiculous on tape. I mean, it looks like Kelvin Banks on tape.
Well, I think they might be used to seeing guys like a Trevor Gooseby who can do a two-handed windmill dunk. And so that athleticism bar might be getting higher in that offensive line room, which is just more reason why Kyle Flood would not want to leave the 40 acres.
So who would be the 10, though? If he wants to get to 10, how's he going to do it? So we know the first 5, and then we know the second 2, right? Because you got either Cam Williams will start or Hayden Connor, so that's 2 right there. And you've got Neto or Cole, so that's 2 equaling 7 across the board with the starting 5. So 3 more to get to 10. Who are we thinking there? Jaden Chapman, maybe? We've heard good things about him. He was maybe the most ready of the previous class, so you can expect he's been a bit quiet of late. We just haven't checked on him. I think he would be in the top 10.
I do. I think Connor Stroh is in the conversation. I think they like a lot of what he brings. He's a big, strong kid. You know, plays the guard spots. I know that, you know, some of these guys, they still trying to get them a little slimmed down, still trying to get them a little bit more into game shape.
Some of those guys just got. See the hesitation I have when the bigger they are, the fans go crazy. Look how huge that guy is. I start to cringe a little bit. I'm going, if this guy doesn't like to work, he's a total bust. If they don't work, then you got to figure that out. That's part of the evaluation. And I don't worry about Connor Stroh working. You know, that kid loves football. He loves the gym. But you've got to, you know, those guys come with some risk. You know, the bigger they are, the better the mental evaluation has to be. Otherwise, you know, it's just not going to happen for him. Connor Robertson at center, he could be part of the 10, right? Even though they expect very big things out of Daniel Cruz in relatively short order, you know, probably after this year. I think they can get to 10. It's going to be fun to chronicle. That starting 5 is going to be one of the stories of spring ball, though.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned Daniel Cruz, because that was another guy that we had heard had already kind of been turning heads. And we obviously put him, you know, we said that's the center take. We knew that's how Kyle Flood wanted it in that cycle. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Cruz playing a number of spots, maybe early, just for reps, just for experience, because he actually can play other spots. I think they focused on him at North Richland Hills at center just to help him out, you know, going into his career at Texas. But I think Cruz can play a little bit of that as a little bit.
He definitely got the traits to play guard. It's just, you know, where does he maximize? You know, as far as the NFL goes, it's probably center, but he can easily play guard. There's little doubt about it. You know, it's he's got that big butt and wide base that you want at guard. He can anchor. He'll be very athletic on the pull. You can tell his athleticism playing center. So he could be a really good guard. I think his ultimate upside, and we're talking 10 years down the road, is the NFL.
Hey, the more I hear good things about Daniel Cruz, and we're not surprised by him, the less I feel animosity about the Casey Poe recruitment.
You never should have felt bad about that. It's just your East Texas bias.
East Texas.
Yeah, if Daniel Cruz lived down the street from me, if Daniel Cruz lived down the street from me and Poe was in Dallas, you'd feel the exact opposite.
I don't know. No, that's not fair, but it's probably true. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Eric, for joining me today. For fans, thank you so much for watching this edition of Inside the Program. Please like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. And also, please come see us at InsideTexas.com. We are running a special right now, $1 for a month. Give us a chance to earn your business. It's only $1. And listen, there are so many good things happening. Winter workouts are really kicking off. We're getting great info from there. The recruiting cycle has really taken off. We saw a number of offers going out to 2025 and 2026s over the last week with Sark and his guys on the road. Be sure and check out all those updates at InsideTexas.com. Once again, thank you to Andre the lawyer, our man. If you get in trouble, be sure and give him a call. And at the end of the day, though, hey, come see us at InsideTexas.com. Thank you for joining us, and this has been brought to you by Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.